What's up? We got a dance party going on. Got a dance party going on. Got a dance party going on. What's up, Facebook peeps? We are going to be talking about chronic pain. This Facebook post, this Facebook Live post was inspired by the fact that I am traveling. I'm on a chiropractic holiday coverage here in beautiful Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, with my boy, Dr. Jamie Grimes, staying at his crib, chilling out. What up, Elena, excuse me. Yelena. I mean, I keep messing up your name, but you are like a sister to me. I love you. What is going on, peeps? Let me know where you're signing in from, where you're listening in from. We're talking about something, it's funny. This is why I retired from my chiropractic practice, and now I find myself, I'm a full-time coach. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a mental optimization coach, helping professionals who are stressed, depressed, and anxious transform and have their best year ever. What up, T. Dot? Bo, it's good to have you here. So the reason why I'm sharing this Facebook broadcast is because I have been in Victoria working in a chiropractic clinic back in my previous life, helping patients who are coming in with physical problems. And one of the things that frustrated me quite a bit was when I was in my chiropractic days, some patients would do amazingly well. Some patients would come in, they would get their chiropractic adjustments, and their brain-body connection is restored through the adjustment, and they leave. And we had all sorts of miracle cases. People with even thyroid disorders. You believe that? People with thyroid disorders that were not nutritionally based, but it would happen after an accident or some stressful event. Just by getting chiropractic care and really restoring that brain-body connection, we would see miracles. And all of you who are paying attention, who are watching, all of my chiropractic friends would know hands down, when you're in trouble or to prevent trouble, that getting regular chiropractic care is critical. And so here I am in this office, and I'm dealing with patients coming in with injuries, sports injuries, back problems, all sorts of problems. And this guy comes in with a very similar story from, in my previous life of being a chiropractor. No matter what they would do, they just wouldn't get better. No matter what physiotherapy, no matter what chiropractic, no matter what they would do, they would only get a certain distance. But then this chronic pain, perhaps the neck pain, perhaps jaw pain, perhaps it's in your back, or it's a chronic health disorder that's just not doing well. Maybe it's thyroid, maybe it's digestive. It's not getting better. You've tried everything. You've done the supplements. You've done a nutritional cleanse. You've shifted everything as far as your diet goes, but it's just not getting better. And that's what frustrated me. And so when I discovered this, the power of asking the right questions and coming up with a protocol, which I created called the overview method, that helps you take whatever's challenging you and give you a different perspective on it, so that whatever that was challenging you is actually not in the way, it was on the way. Yes, that's right. It was on the way. And so just by making that shift, the patient all of a sudden feels this lightness from within. Their organs start working better, because we know that cortisol and adrenaline, which are stress hormones, are going to be suppressing your organ systems. So your body doesn't function as well. What up, Johnny? Your body doesn't function as well when you're under chronic fight or flight. Now, what causes a chronic fight or flight is events that have happened in your life, transitions. Look at all of the challenges, the transitions, the events that have happened in your life from your past that you think you have forgiven, that you think that you need to forgive. Guess what? If you have resentment towards it, if you look back and you say, I don't want to think about it, I don't want to deal with it, or it was an old part of my life that I'd rather not deal with, all of a sudden it becomes this thing that creates a flood of stress hormones. Then your body is still in a pattern. I want you to really get this. if you've gone through a transition and you've been hit hard with the curveballs of life, as we all have. I've been through a divorce. I've been through a business sale, which was like a second divorce for me. So I went through massive turmoil internally because of what was happening around and the stories that I was making out of it. Guess what? You get stuck on a fight or flight cortisol, adrenaline cortisol cycle through the hypothalamus pituitary axis, which is your fight or flight and freeze stress hormone center. And now that thing is like rocks in your backpack. And you're supposed to get healthy and live a fulfilled life with these rocks in your backpack. It just doesn't work. So soon as I would take these same patients and I would put them aside, and what I would do, I would basically put them into a place where my workshops, where we would actually work on changing those stories. Lo and behold, people would start to heal. The people who came in with these chronic back problems, using the overview method, doing coaching with them, they would slowly start to transform beyond what any physical type of care has been able to give them. That was soon way more fulfilling to me than actually being in the office dealing with the pain itself. I started thinking, you know what, I'm not helping these people. So I started slowly transitioning my practice out of the office into coaching. So now I help people who are sick, stuck, stressed, and sore transform their stories and have their best year ever. Okay, so here I am this past week. This guy comes in and he's got, watch this, he's got pain on his left arm that's been chronic and pain on his right arm in the exact same areas. Now, those of you who are healthcare providers, chiropractors, physios, RMTs will know this, is that if somebody comes in with a neck pain, with shooting pains down the arms, that's one thing. You have a nerve compression, you have a new nerve root compression, you have paresthesia, you have all sorts of issues that we can attribute to a problem in the neck or an entrapped muscle down the arm. Very simple. However, when the person comes in with both sides, okay, both sides of the issue, same exact thing. He comes in and his name is Mike, and I go, hey, Mike, so what's going on? He goes, I have pain down here and down here in the same area. The likelihood of injuring the exact same muscle on both sides is very slim to none. So I asked him this question, and by the way, after this story, it's going to be pertinent to you. I'm going to I'm going to be able to answer all your questions, and I'm going to share with you how you can tell if the problem is emotional in origin or lifestyle in origin. Okay, emotional lifestyle. I can basically give it to you in a nutshell, because I've been working with thousands of individuals and I've seen patterns, and transformation is definitely possible. So he's got pain on both sides, and then I told him, I said, that's a little bit weird to have the exact same injury on both sides. Then I asked him this question. I said, how long have you been dealing with this? And he said, about 3 years. And then guess what my next question was? Let me know if you hear it. And I'd like to see in the chat box, if you've been paying attention and following along, then you'd know exactly what my next question is. The next question was, what was going on in your life at the time? He turns to me, he smiles, and he goes, I've been going through a divorce. And that's when shit hit the fan for him. Exactly, Bo, you got it. That's when shit hit the fan. So I told him, I said, how you been doing with the results here? And he said, seems to be slowly progressing, but it's just really slow. And then I told him, I said, I don't mean to burst your bubble here, but chances are you're holding on to a resentment and it's manifesting in your arms. If you're holding onto resentment, if you're holding onto regret, if you're holding onto some story about your past that's triggering you, that's putting you in a place of superiority, putting you in a place of inferiority, inadequacy, superior, whatever story that you have about it, there is a likelihood that you're carrying it with you, and that it's basically the underlying root cause, and it manifests itself physically. Earlier this week, I have a new client that's signed up to my program who's a chiropractor who has been struggling with migraines for the past 3 years. And it had started after the death of 2 of her children. Two babies died. So she's going through a really rough time, as normally as she should. And all of these problems started around the story around those events. So I kept inquiring and probing deeper, and I asked him, I said, all right, so what's going on? You either feel 2 things, an uneven exchange, because I went through a divorce, so I know exactly what you're dealing with. You either feel that you've given too much and you haven't received in return, so there wasn't a fair exchange. In other words, she wants to take it all, or you feel that you've received too much and you haven't given, and you have this guilt. Which one is it? He goes, definitely the first one. So he, in his past, is dealing with a perception of an uneven exchange of that bitch wants to take it all. Okay, so imagine holding on to that, and he's doing exercise, he's working out with that in his mind. Now, if you've been struggling with chronic pain for a very long time, and one of the things that you want to know, one of the main questions that you really want to get to know if this is a emotional or if it's actual physical, is this. If it is physical, then chances are you're going to have it on one side of the body. Even still, because of the injury, whether it's a car accident or whatever, there's still an emotional part of it, and there is emotions tied in, but primarily it would likely be physical in nature. Okay, I'm not going to paint everyone with the exact same brush, but I've noticed these patterns with a lot of 15 years of clinical experience. So if you have one knee problem, then chances are it's a physical issue. You tweaked it, you have a sports injury, that kind of thing. But then there's also an emotional story around it. So there's frustration, there's resentment. So it helps to do the work on it, to make sure you have a coach that's helping you deal with the story, the emotional trigger that's happening for it. But if it is actually one-sided, then chances are it is actually a physical problem. However, if you have pain that is on both sides of the body, both knees are bugging you, both arms are bugging you, both sides of the lower back, it's not just one side, it's both sides. And classic fibromyalgia case where there's people on, there's the 18 points that they check with fibromyalgia, which is 100% emotional in origin, and nutritional and lifestyle, nutritional and stress in it. If you've been diagnosed with a chronic pain, chronic illness, chronic fatigue, guaranteed there's an emotional story. I'm talking about you. Those are the people where they test for pain syndromes on both sides of the spine. So in the shoulders, all the way down, they're like, ow, 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 ow. What areas are bothering you? Both sides. Well, guess what? You're dealing with an emotional story. You're dealing with a trigger. You're dealing with a past feeling of inadequacy, a trigger of I'm not good enough, a trigger of I'm not worthy of love, a trigger of I'm broken. And this chronic pain, if you know how to ask the right questions and you have the right mentor, can be a guide, can be a gift that actually pushes you to living your best life, past your fears. You got to actually step past your fears though. So if the pain is on both sides, you're going to want to ask the question, how long have I been living with this? And then the answer is 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever it is. And then the next question is, what conflict was going on in my life at the time? What conflict was going on in my life at the time? And guaranteed, there is something going on, and that story around it, whether it was an abuse, whether there was some sort of sexual trauma, whether there was some sort of an abandonment perception, whether there's some sort of a guilt. I've had a lot of clients come in and they did something that they feel incredibly guilty for. And that energy of absolute resentment and resistance that they bury, that they don't deal with, that energy's got to go somewhere. And one of the clients basically said, it's been a gift because this chronic illness that I've gotten has allowed me to punish myself. It's like a self-punishment. So your body, you have to start with this understanding that your body has wisdom, that it's not falling apart for no reason at all. There is an underlying wisdom behind it. And there usually has a perception of a lack of love, a perception of a lack of worthiness, a perception, there's a story around it. And I can't be hypothetical with it. If I were to talk to you specifically, I can guarantee you that there's a story behind it. There was one of my clients with multiple sclerosis, and she developed it 7 years ago. And it was all based on a story of inadequacy and unworthiness with mom, very, very common in ethnic families. She was Greek. And I asked her this question. I said, what is this pain and this disorder? What symptoms is it helping you? Is it helping prevent you from feeling? Let me repeat that. What symptom, what feelings is this pain and this disorder helping serve you to avoid feeling? And she thought about it and she goes, it helps me avoid feeling rejected. Because she had this story that I was never good enough for mom. Nothing I ever did was good enough. Very, very prominent in ethnic families, Greek, Italian, Persian, very, very common. And so she had that, and she realized the gift of the MS was as soon as she got diagnosed with this disorder, mom came over, she does her laundry every single week. She never talks to her about I'm not good enough, gets her love and affection. And you'll be surprised, and this was a big, radical transformational understanding for me, was that people would rather be sick than to feel not loved. People would rather be sick than to actually tell the truth and to uncover the truth. And so it became very frustrating to me to be in an office like that, to see clients who actually didn't get that they were in the driver's seat with their transformation. They were, the question here was, so what happens when they're more attached to their stories than to healing? Good question, Yelena, good question. The answer is they have to see, Elena, they have to see that there has to be a why for them to heal. If they're more attached to their stories than they're attached to their healing, which is most people with chronic illnesses until they realize they have the responsibility. Who isn't attached to their stories? The ones who actually realize that their stories, and they get the right help, the right mentorship, the right guide, that don't accept anything except their healing. So the people who actually heal are the ones that have decided, they've made the decision that healing is, and going through the pain and going through the telling the truth in the healing is more important to them than actually being stuck with that label, with that diagnosis. If you're more attached to the story, then there's no hope for you. I'm here to tell you this. If you're more attached to the diagnosis, the label, the pills, and the belief that I can't heal, that this is what the doctors told me and this is my reality for the rest of my life, then that story will be with you for the rest of your life. And consider that you have an underlying motive to stay sick. You might think what I'm saying is extremely offensive, and I get that. I've done this enough, and I've shared this with enough patients to know that what I'm saying might trigger you. Consider that you might not want to get well if you're chronically in pain, and that there's an unconscious motive for you to be stuck. That unconscious motive could be in the form of a disability check. That unconscious motive could be in the form of, well, my pain is a justification. is a justification for me not having to get out and work. Sorry to tell you that. That's a fact. Many of you listening right now, that's you. The cool part about Facebook Live is that I can say the truth and you can't take it personally because I can't see you. But when I'm in an audience, I used to do these talks in my office. So I'm facing the audience and I used to say this stuff and people would get up and just walk out. I just triggered the shit out of them because I uncovered the truth. Because I told them that consider that you're getting a secondary benefit by being stuck and sore and sick, and that you have learned unconsciously from your childhood that getting sick gets you attention, getting sick gets you extra love and affection. So when you feel unworthy and inadequate and you feel like life is stuck and you feel shitty about your life, what's the one strategy you're going to turn to that's been reliable every single time in your life to get you exactly what you wanted? Is to be disabled and sick and fatigued and I can't move. That's a fact. I'm here to tell you, I'm sorry, click me off, unfriend me, block me, because what I'm saying is going to be very confrontational to you. So what do those people do? Realize first and foremost that they have the power to transform, that they have to have a reason. There has to be a why beyond their need for approval. How do you know you're ready to heal? Well, your need for healing has to be beyond your need for approval. Your health has to be beyond your need to stay stuck in that story. And so that story of resentment is powerful. It's not easy. That's why I left my practice. I said, I don't want to deal with those people. I closed my practice to disability, long-term disability, that kind of thing, because those were people, the majority of the cases, I'm not saying everyone, that had identified with their pain, had identified with their illness, and they weren't getting the fact that they were the cause. It's not a blame game, but they were responsible for its transformation, and they could actually heal. It was a big astonishment for me. And so now the cool part about what I do is I've now built my life practice on helping exclusively those who actually want to transform. So how do you know that your pain, physical pain, is emotional in origin? Number one, it's both sides. It's diffuse on both sides and systemic. And number two, it's in the wake of a transition. It's in the wake of a breakup, in the wake of a career move, in the wake of a loss of a loved one, in some sort of a transition. And so that's why I've now, my practice is now international. I help people internationally who are sick, stressed, stuck, and sore, who are stuck in a transition. I help them transform by shifting their mindset, clearing their resentments, dissolving their regrets, connecting to a cause that's greater than them, because that's the only way to do this, and then take the steps necessary to transform it. And so the cool part about that is that people actually heal because they first understand and believe, and they've committed. They've made the decision that they're going to, and they're going to face their fears. They're going to face their fears in doing so. So I take people through a process. I take people through a 5-step process in transforming their sick, stressed, and stuck state into becoming powerfully aligned and on purpose. I'm going to put this up right here. If you are curious and you'd like to see, I do a training on how I transform people from sick, stuck, and stressed into becoming powerfully aligned and on purpose. It's 5 shifts that I get people to make. It's very simple. I have a growing number of client base that has absolutely transformed, people who aren't in chronic pain, actually people who come to the workshops that I do, and we actually have a transformation that happens right in the workshop, and they go, I feel like my shoulders are, 30 pounds lighter. They're walking around like this. It's completely released. It's like a demon has been exorcised because they've been holding on to resentment and regret. They've been holding it onto it. And through these magical tools of transformation, we can actually have them exiting your body, because it's all about resentment. It's all about emotions. And I teach people emotional mastery. So That's the training. For those of you who are actually serious and who are wanting to get started in getting better right now, I'm offering 2 free coaching calls to find out if you're ready to deep dive into your darkness and to go back there and say, I'm ready. Like, enough's enough. I'm all in. I'm ready to see it. And so you can apply to work with me, but basically you just send me a private message and I will do it. There's 2 spaces for coaching calls this weekend. And so it's Saturday here in Vancouver, Sunday in Australia. So either today or tomorrow, I have 2 spots open for coaching calls that I really want to get to know exactly when it all began, what the conflicts are, and I would outline a strategy for you moving forward so that you can actually be free of the pain. Not only that, but not be focusing on the pain, but by making your life be something greater than the pain, that's how the pain gets dissolved. And so it's a really 99% mindset thing. Now, of course, there's going to be nutrition. You got to make sure you're getting a lot of plant-based foods in your diet. You got to make sure that, we get you to the point that you're going to a chiropractor and making sure that you have a clear brain-body connection so that you can actually get up and start moving. There's different strategies, but I'd be going over all of those with you. So send me a private message. I'm offering this as a gift for a couple people who are really, 2 people who are really serious and are tired of living the way that they are, and they wanted it better yesterday. That's the key. This is the people who are serious about it and wanting to get better yesterday. Are there any questions? Thank you so much for your participation. If there are any questions, I'm here for you. If you haven't joined my Facebook group, The Art of Powerful Alignment, make sure you do The Art of Powerful Alignment, where we can continue this conversation. And let me know if there are any questions. And if not, I will hopefully see you at the next perfect time. Please shoot me a question and I'll do a Facebook Live answer for you. I love serving in this capacity and sharing. And that was a lot of fun. Hopefully you gain some nuggets of wisdom and you have something to do moving forward, is to go look at areas of your life from your past where these problems began and start asking the question, how did it serve me? How did what happened serve my highest values? Hey, quick question. Do you see specific emotions that go along with TMJ? Absolutely. TMJ is huge. Think about it. As soon as I see somebody, of course, getting chiropractic adjustments for TMJ is very important. You can do adjustments on TMJ. I just did a couple this weekend, and man, it's been incredible. Bo, you got to send them. You got to tag them in this post. They got to understand first that their stories are connected with their pain. You can't just tell them. They have to see it, and they got to want to transform it. But as far as TMJ goes, Selena, thanks for your call. Hopefully you're good. Hopefully you're doing well in Ottawa. I miss you, darling. TMJ is classic. And you got to ask the question, when do you notice it? And if they notice it first thing waking up in the morning and they get headaches on the side right here, first thing in the morning, then they're going through a major stressor. It's weighing on their mind. They shut their eyes to go to sleep, and they're clenching their teeth all night. Hey, thanks. They're clenching their teeth all night. They're like this. And so classic chronic pain, if again, both sides, and it's here, and it's related to TMJ headache-wise, then they're going through a great deal of stress. Send them to me. I'd love to have a discussion with them and see what else is bothering them. But clenching your teeth, because when you're feeling that there's a tiger chasing after you and you don't feel safe, you're going to clench your teeth, and that eventually leads to chronic pain and then chronic problems, because then the jaw starts clicking and it stops working properly. And so most of this stuff is emotions-based. You've been a nutritionist for a while now. It's usually a couple of years that nutritionists come frustrated to me and they say, okay, I want you to teach me how to do this emotional clearing stuff, because every single one of my clients, every single one, it's not just a nutrition problem, it's an emotions problem. And so, I'm starting to create a facilitators program for my clients and for nutritionists and healers and people who really want to help make a bigger difference in people's lives. So it's emotions-based for that TMJ. Are there any other questions? Hopefully that was useful. Once again, those of you, I'm just going to put this up. those of you, just go to drnima.com and register for the webinar and listen, watch and listen how I take people through an incredible transformation. Over 3 months, it's completely possible to change everything. And people are coming in droves. They're recognizing that they want to be the cause in the matter of their transformation. I stopped. It was getting really frustrating to me working in a clinical setting where people didn't really want to go there. And that frustration led me to the journey of becoming a coach and traveling the world and teaching in workshops, in one-on-ones, how to help people transform it. And so I've assembled an incredible team that does it together, and it's been a crazy, wild, fun ride. And those of you paying attention and those of you with the questions and participating, thank you very much. I want to share with you the gratitude that I have for being able to have this platform. Thank you, Mark Zuckerberg, for allowing me an opportunity to share what my voice and my message is, because it's already making a difference in people's lives. And I'm really grateful for this opportunity to serve in this capacity. So thank you for paying attention. Thank you for your questions. Send me a private message if you have any other questions, and I'm here for you. Peace out, and I'll see you at the next perfect time.